Have you ever stopped to wonder what holds everything inside your abdomen in just the right place? You probably haven't, but there's this unsung hero, a kind of hidden architect working tirelessly inside you at this very moment. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most important and probably least known structures in our body, the peritoneum. So let's just dive right in with a pretty dramatic image. What you're looking at is a condition called ascites, which is a massive buildup of fluid in the abdomen. It's a really striking example of what happens when that hidden internal lining, the peritoneum, just can't do its job anymore. And this really begs the question, right? What exactly is this system? What's it supposed to be doing when everything is working correctly? And how in the world can it fail so spectacularly? Well, let's find out. To really get a handle on the peritoneum, let's start with a simple analogy. I want you to think of it as your body's own custom-fit, high-tech internal wallpaper. Okay, so the official definition gives us some incredible clues. The peritoneum is the body's largest serous membrane, which is really just a fancy term for a thin sheet that lines cavities and makes its own lubricating fluid. The source material describes it as a glistening, slippery, and transparent lining for your entire abdominal cavity. Just picture that for a second. And this is where it gets really clever, illustrating its two main jobs. Think of it as wallpaper that lines the inside of your abdominal wall, and also as shrink wrap that covers, or to use the proper term, invests many of your organs, like your stomach and your intestines. But it's not just one simple sheet. Oh no, it's way smarter than that. There's a really clever structure to it, with distinct layers and a very special kind of space between them. You know, a great way to visualize this is to imagine pushing your fist into a slightly deflated balloon. Your fist isn't actually inside the balloon's airspace, right? But it is covered by the balloon's material. So in diagram A, that's what we call an intraperitoneal organ, like the stomach. It's totally wrapped up. But in diagram B, you see a retroperitoneal organ, like your kidneys, which sits behind the whole lining. Now here's where it gets really interesting and something you might have experienced yourself. That wallpaper layer, the parietal peritoneum, is wired with the same kind of nerves as your skin. That's why if your appendix gets inflamed and touches it, you feel a sharp, specific pain you can point right to. But the shrink wrap layer, the visceral peritoneum, has different nerves that only register a dull, vague ache. Understanding this is absolutely key for doctors trying to figure out what's going on inside you. So what's actually between these two layers? Well, you might be picturing a big empty gap, but that's not it at all. It's called the peritoneal cavity, but it's what doctors call a potential space. There are no organs just floating around in there. It's basically just two super slippery surfaces touching each other. And just how much fluid is in that so-called space? Get this, barely any. We're talking 5 to 25 milliliters. That's about a tablespoon. It's not there to fill anything up. It's just there to create this ultra-slippery film so your organs can glide smoothly past each other as you move. But wait, there's more. The peritoneum does way more than just line and lubricate. It's also the great organizer of your abdomen. It literally creates the structures that hold all your organs in place. And here is the absolute star of the show, the greater omentum. This is the largest fold of the peritoneum, and it actually hangs down from your stomach like an apron, covering your intestines. You can see it here, that fatty, curtain-like structure. And that omentum is just the beginning. The peritoneum cleverly folds and drapes itself to create all sorts of other things. It forms mesenteries, which are like these flexible tethers that hold your intestines to the back wall, but still give them room to move. And it creates ligaments that connect organs to each other, like the liver to the stomach, making sure everything stays in its proper neighborhood. So it lines, lubricates, and organizes. Pretty impressive, right? But maybe its most amazing role is an active protective one. This is where that greater omentum, that apron, really earns its keep. In fact, surgeons and anatomists for years have had this fantastic nickname for it, the abdominal policeman. And believe me, it is a perfect description of what it does. So why the nickname? Well, because when there's trouble, say an infection or inflammation, the omentum is highly mobile. It literally travels to the inflamed area, wraps itself around the problem, and walls it off to stop the infection from spreading, just like a police cordon. On top of that, it's a major spot for fat storage, and it helps absorb that peritoneal fluid we talked about. And that lubricating fluid, it's not just sitting still. The simple act of you breathing and your stomach digesting keeps it circulating throughout your abdomen, usually in a clockwise direction. This basically turns the entire peritoneal cavity into a patrol route for your immune cells, creating this constant surveillance system. It's incredible. So let's bring this all the way back to where we started. Remember that first image? That condition, ascites, is exactly what happens when this delicate system of fluid production and absorption breaks down. If the omentum and other parts of the peritoneum can't absorb the fluid like they're supposed to, it just builds up and up and up. It is a direct consequence of this hidden system failing. You know, the peritoneum is just a perfect example of a complex, elegant system working silently inside all of us, a true hidden architect. It's a powerful reminder that our bodies are absolutely full of them. So it makes you wonder, what other incredible systems are working inside you right now, completely unnoticed, just to keep you going?